Hey, this is Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum the Guitar Podcast, and today I'm going to be showing you the surfy, drippy, reverby sounds you can find in the Oceans 11 Reverb by Electro Harmonics. I'm going to compare it to the classic and discontinued Boss 63 Fender Reverb pedal, which closely emulated the sound of a Fender outboard spring reverb unit. It was one of the first pedals to actually really get pretty close to it. And then I'm also going to compare it to a pedal that I just got this year, the Ventris by Source Audio. It's a reverb supercomputer that does it all, but it also has a really nice drippy reverb setting in it. So let's get started. I'll show off the Oceans 11 here for a little bit, and then we'll start comparing. I gotta say right off the bat, I'm super impressed with this pedal. It nails the drip. That's the sound. That's the sound that surf rock guys chase. It's the sound that's very hard to find in pedal format. You really end up getting the actual units to get that sound. So to find that drip in a pedal that's affordable and single space like this is very exciting for me, and I'm sure it's very exciting for other surf rock guys out there. Let's do a comparison to the Boss pedal now. Here is a low E, palm muted, to get that drip. Here's the Boss unit. By rolling back the tone a little bit to get a little bit ice picky. There is a nice drip from the Fender, from the Boss Fender pedal here. There are some issues with this pedal that I'll go over. It has a bit of a muddy lo-fi sort of thing going on, while at the same time the highs get really ice picky really quick with the Boss. It can be quite a trick to dial out those ice pick highs from this pedal. What I've done in the past when I've used this pedal live is I run another reverb behind it. I run the Topanga by Catalan Bread behind it to kind of smooth out those ice pick highs. It also does this filtering sound, especially if you're running like a drive before it, that is pretty annoying to me. I'll show off that in a bit too, to show off how the Oceans 11 and the Ventris compare when you're running a drive before them. All right, now I'll compare the Ventris to the Oceans 11. Once again, a open E palm mute. So some quick notes on the differences between these two. I think they both have an excellent drip here. I think the drip sounds really nice. I think the signal sounds really nice. Very surfy, very authentic and appropriate for what people who want an outboard spring reverb to sound like, especially when it's emulated by a pedal. I will say I think the signal from the Ventris has a higher fidelity, warmer, more like tube-like sort of sound. The original spring units had tubes in them, and they were kind of like, you know, tube amps. They had like a warm signal to them. And I think you get more of that from the Ventris. I also think the spring trail on it is bouncier and more interesting and more true to what someone who wants this kind of reverb would expect. That being said, the price point and the size of the Oceans 11 makes me want to forgive any issues. It's an excellent price point as an entry into a drippy spring reverb sound. Really fantastic usability here. There's an extra little thing in here that's a lot of fun. You can double tap the switch and get a kicked spring sound. It's a novelty and it sounds the same every time. But come on, it's a pretty fun trick. I think I'm gonna show you right now let me show you the trail on the Ventris versus the Oceans 11. Listen to the quality of it as it bleeds off. Oops. There's a nice wavy bounce to it, and it just trails off in a really beautiful way. The Oceans 11 has a little bit more of a lo-fi, kind of like digital thing at the very end of the trail. You can hear it start to buzz out. It's almost like the edge of a cymbal is just slightly like ringing. But like I said, that's the sort of thing I can forgive for the price point and how well the drip handles on this thing, and the fact that it sounds really great when you're playing through it. That little bit at the end of the trail, yeah, totally forgivable. Let me show off what I was talking about with the drive filtering with the Boss unit. I've got a Solid Gold Effects Zeta Deluxe over here on the side. It doesn't need to be that high gain. Come on, Ryan. Here is the Fender, the Boss. I keep calling it the Fender. And here's the Oceans 11. You can hear it lets a lot more of the grit and the character of the drive-through. And here's the Ventris. I feel like there's like a difference of character here. The Oceans 11 lets more of the high-end grit of the drive-through, and the Ventris lets plenty of the character of the drive-through, but there's a little bit of a filtering on the high end, which isn't bad. It's not a bad thing, but it's definitely not the muddy blanket that the Boss pedal like imparts on the drive signal. Slightly different flavors there. The Ventris, though, has so many settings you can get to behind the scenes. You can get into the software and really just go crazy modeling the sound of this thing. So that's something to consider. All right, now that we've done that, let's explore the range of the knobs and the extra settings on the Oceans 11. So on the face, you have your basic Fender unit knobs or controls. You have the mix, you have the tone, obviously, and this becomes the dwell control. Here's the mix. It can go all the way wet. Of course, you can go all the way dry. Why would you, though? That's ridiculous. Tone, nice range on here. Nice and bright. Nice middle ground there. Fubbed that one a little bit. Still get that vintage vibe, but a little bit moodier when you roll it all the way back. All right, and now the dwell control. That basically controls how long the tail is. Sounds nice on that short trail there. You hold down the mode knob and you get into this flashing setting, which means you have alternate controls on this knob and that knob. This knob becomes a bit of like a drive control. It kind of simulates pushing the tubes in one of those original units. You know what? I should have put the dwell back up. It's a subtle control. But people who know reverb units and are trying to dial in a specific sound are going to appreciate that knob. This control up here becomes a three-part selector between different spring lengths. I forget the length over here. I want to say like 8.5. Here in the middle is your traditional, I think 17.5 inch spring setting. And to the side, I think it's, I don't remember these numbers, I think it's 24 inches. You really get a little bit of extra drip on there and some length to the tail. I prefer the middle setting, but it's nice to know that they're there. I'm really happy that they didn't go with a pre-delay setting. They kept it authentic. They kept it to the controls that surf rock guitarists know that they need and have something to do with the source material. Did I cover this yet? All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Please like, subscribe, dislike, leave me rude and nasty comments. Stay tuned, because I'm going to compare this to a real Fender unit here in the near future. I just wanted to bust this out and compare it to the classic, the standard, the discontinued, and a new modern variation that is very powerful and completely valid, still in the face of this affordable and totally great sounding unit that's come out. I keep calling them units because that's what they're referencing. Reverb units. Man, I'm excited. What a time to be alive. There's all these pedals that can simulate a spring reverb unit. I'm stoked. All right, later guys.